Do you want to learn Arabic and Islamic sciences with distinguished teachers, accompanied with the best brotherhood and sisterhood in London? Enroll now on site at Madinah College or study online on the portal for £10 a month at mclportal.com.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is a short book review of one of the poems, inshallah, which I'll be teaching starting this week live online. And this book is a manzuma, as you can see, in adab and akhlaq and talab al-ilm. It's a poem which is just over 100 lines, and it speaks about the etiquettes of being a student of knowledge, and it speaks about having adab or manners. And it's called At-Ta'iyatu or At-Ta'iyah of al-Ilbeeri, right? And the author, he is originally from Yemen. However, he lived in Granada in Spain, and he is known mainly for this poem. He has a diwan, which is a collection of his poems, but this is from the poems in which he's famous for, in the sense that it's taught and studied by students of knowledge and by teachers, and memorized as well. And it's part of the Mutun Talib al-Ilm series, which we're going to have a look at in a minute. So this poem, the author, he begins by speaking about the importance of time and making use of your time. And then he goes on to speak about how to make use of your time, meaning to seek knowledge, because knowledge is something which is lasting, and knowledge is something which raises your status, and not to be occupied with worldly affairs, chasing after the dunya, and other things that he speaks about, the blame of being ignorant and the harms of being old and not having knowledge, being forgotten. He speaks about a number of things in lines of poetry that end in ta. That's why it's called ta'iyah, because like al-ha'iyah of Ibn Abi Dawood, which is in Aqeedah, which I'll also be teaching, a ta'iyah, every line at the end ends in a ta. Every line ends in a ta. So this is a manzuma, inshallah, that we'll be going through. As you can see, it's got 112 lines, and this is a text which the students are going to be given, inshallah. And you can see that it ends in ta, right? Every nahta and ta, it ends in ta. That's what they're called. It's called ta'iyah, okay? And there's a couple of explanations of the book. There's an explanation, inshallah, which is by Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Qasim, who's the Imam of Masjid al-Nabawi, and he's also the one that compiled and collected the Mutun Talib al-Ilm series, which you can download for free, by the way. If you go to his website here, you can see it has Mutun Talib al-Ilm, and it has all of the different levels that you can download as PDFs and go over, inshallah. So he has a beginning matan, which is a Mukhtasar al-Adhkar wal-Adab, right? A beginner's book in dhikr and adab as well, he mentions here. And then he has not the Mukhtasar, the full version of it, which is the second book here that you can see here. And then, for example, that's the second book, which is a full version of it. And he has also what we'll be going through is in al-Mustawa al-Thalith, right, which is the third level. But just to have an overview of what these Mutun Talib al-Ilm are, you're going to see in the introduction, if you have a look at the book, to see where al-Manzuma al-Ilbeeri is in here. You're also going to notice he gives an introduction where he speaks about all of the different levels and the different mutun that you study, right? After speaking about the virtues of studying and memorizing, right? The compilation that he put together, right? And Mustawa al-Awwal, the first level, it has Usul al-Thalatha, al-Qawaid al-Arba'a, Nawaqid al-Islam, and al-Arba'in al-Nawawi. That's 4 books. Second level, he does Tuhfat al-Atfal, which is in Tajweed. There's a book on the fiqh, Shurut al-Salah, and a book on Tawheed, which is Kitab Tawheed by Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Then in the third level, which is what we introduce poems, right? So this is Manzumatul Bayquniya, which is in Mustalah Hadith, which inshallah has already been taught and is available on MCL portal. Manzuma Abi Ishaq al-Ilbeeri, which is the one that we'll be studying, book number 2 here. And then he has Al-Muqaddama al-Ajurumiyya, which is in Nahu, which is in Arabic grammar, and Aqeedah al-Wasatiyya, which is in Aqeedah, creed and belief. And then Mustawa Rabi, level 4, has Al-Waraqat, which is in Usul al-Fiqh, Unwan al-Hikam, which is again another poem in Adab, which we've covered already, and a book on Fara'id, right, Al-Rahabiyya, which speaks about inheritance, and book number 4 in level 4 is At-Tahawiyya. This is known as the Mutun al-Ilm series, right? So part of that series basically is preparing a student preparing a person, a Muslim, to become a student of knowledge. So the objective is to finish level 1, then to do level 2, then to go to level 3, and to go to level 4, at which point, inshallah, a person will have a good grounding in the subjects. And he's got additional books as well, which he did, either in Ahadith al-Ahkam, in the case of Bulugh Maram, or in Fiqh, as in the case of Zad al-Mustaqni on the Hanbali Madhab, and Alfiya bin Malik, which is a book on 1,000 lines on Arabic grammar, is like a khulasa or final level book. And he's got other books as well. So anyway, so this Manzuma or Ata'iyya of al-Ilbeeri is in Adab and Akhlaq, and it's in level 3 in this series of books. Going back to the text itself, I said there's a couple of explanations. One explanation, which is good because it's short, as you can see, it's 95 pages, is the explanation of the Shaykh himself. So Shaykh Abdul Muhsin al-Qasim, he was a teacher in Masjid Nabawi, he's also a qadi, is a judge, and he's the imam of Masjid Nabawi as well. He has a program where he teaches these books to students, right? And he gives ijazah at the end of finishing and completing books. So one of the books in which he completed and taught is this one, and it was turned into a book. So you have the poem at the beginning, and you have his explanation afterwards, right? His explanation of the poem. So this is one of the explanations which are there by the Shaykh himself. And this is common that Mashaykh, they write a book and they explain it, especially as it pertains to poetry, because poetry, the word sometimes may be a bit ambiguous. They may have used a word which is a gharib that needs explaining. Not that he's the author, but he's explaining a book which he's compiled. Authors that explain that on books, you have, for example, in many cases, Nukhbat al-Fikr, there's an explanation of it by Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani himself. You have, for example, Sulam al-Wusul by Hafid al-Hakami. He explained it himself in a book called Ma'arij al-Qabul. You have a book in Usul al-Fiqh by the Sheikh Muhammad Adam Ethiopi, rahmatullah alayh, called, I think, Tuhfat al-Mardiyya, which he explained himself in 3 volumes. So it's common that Mashaykh, they do a book and they explain it, write an explanation of the book themselves. In any case, this is one of the explanations. Another explanation of At-Ta'iyya, which is good and useful, is an explanation called Athamal al-Mustatab, which is a sharh by Sheikh Yahya al-Hajuri, who's one of the Mashaykh of Yemen, and he's a teacher, and he was a student of Sheikh Muqbil, rahmatullah alayh. His explanation of this book is a bit longer, it's 150 pages. And if you combine both explanations, inshallah, you're going to get the benefit of an explanation which looks at the ma'ani of the words, and an explanation of the ma'ani of the words with some evidences, and an explanation which is athari in a sense that, as you can see, the Shaykh, he mentions ayat and ahadith, and he mentions, for example, lines of poetry for each of these points which are mentioned in the book. Okay, so you have if you combine between both of these explanations, inshallah, you get the full explanation in terms of when you're a student of knowledge and you're studying any particular book or any particular method in ilm, then you have to look at it from a number of ways. Number one, what's the ma'ani of the kalimat? What's the meaning of the words? An explanation of those words, right? The third one is what's the evidence for these points which the author is mentioning, either from the Book of Allah or from the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's the kind of methodology of working with text, to learn the text fully and then to implement it and to act upon it, and then thirdly to teach it to others. So these are two of the explanations which are common. There's probably more explanations which are of classical scholars. These are two of the contemporary scholars. Inshallah, this book is again an important book as it pertains to seeking knowledge and encouragement to seek knowledge, as well as the etiquettes of the student and general manners as well in adab. So it comes under the section of adab, which is often in the case in poetry form, like in Unwan al-Hikam, as well as other books on this genre. So inshallah, I'll be teaching this book on a course which will be live online starting this week, Wednesdays and Thursdays. And inshallah, once it's completed, it will be available on the MCL portal for students that want to benefit. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.